Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Interstellar Modeler. In the next few videos or so, I'm going to be going over the build of this Polar Lights USS Enterprise Space Seed Edition kit. This kit comes with the 1/1000 scale Enterprise model, which of course isn't too special these days since this has been out for quite some time. But along with that comes a replica of the Botany Bay, which of course is Khan's ship from the Space Seed episode. This is the Botany Bay right here. I'll show you that first. Looks to be a nice detailed little ship here. Of course it's small because it's a 1/1000 scale ship, but shouldn't be too hard to put that together. Maybe someday they'll come up with a 1/350 scale to go with the bigger model kit. But until then, that's what we have to work with, so I'll be putting that together here shortly. I did start the project already. I began with a secondary hull here. This is not a very difficult kit to put together. But the one challenge that you do have is you have to hide this seam right here. So the secondary hull comes with two pieces, first of all, that you have to put together, and of course that will result in one seam here along the length of the ship. And then you insert the nacelles into this area here, and that results in a pretty heavy seam that you have to cover in this section here. So what I did for this project is I'm using Mr. Hobby Mr. Dissolve Putty, and this is pretty good stuff to work with because you can brush it on, so it gives you nice control. And I've done this already twice, so it's looking pretty smooth here. But essentially I brushed it into the seam here, and then I began with about a 600 grit sandpaper and moved up to about 1200. And as I've said before in previous videos, essentially what you're doing to cover seams is you're polishing the surface there, getting it to be nice and smooth. So, so far, as I said, I've done this twice. It's looking pretty good here, so I think it's just about ready to prime. The seam on the underside of the model really isn't too bad. I still used a little putty for that and smoothed it over there. So again, it's looking pretty decent here. I moved on to the nacelles as well, and these come in two halves, and very straightforward to put together. The seam isn't too significant here, so what I decided to try here is to use Pearl Weld instead of using putty. And as the name implies, it welds the plastic together. And when you do that, you can use sandpaper and make that seam disappear quite nicely. So I'm in the process of doing that now. One thing that you might find helpful if you're thinking about putting this model together is you can use clamps to put some pressure on the model pieces here to make the seam as tight as possible. That makes it a little bit easier to smooth over, and I use these little metal clamps here to do that, placing it along the length of the model. I used about two of them here for that. So again, not too complicated. This model is not very big, so it's pretty straightforward to put together. So then I'll continue with that, move on to the primary hull, and then eventually here onto the Botany Bay. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.